Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Thursday, aka Friday Eve to everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So, pretty big day today for the 54 Barndoor. The owner and his son came out from Hawaii. They took a red eye, got in this morning, came up to the shop, I don't know, around 11 or so. Hung out, chatted for a while, and the plan is to ship this bus back to those guys in Hawaii. And so, logistically speaking, they had some parts that we didn't or aren't currently using. So one is the stock wheels and tires, which are there, and then in these two bins here is like the stock Barndoor brake drums, which of course are valuable and that they're very hard to find. And the stock carburetor, stock air cleaner, some other Barndoor parts that we didn't use for, because we hot rodded this thing. So yeah, some parts, stock wheels and tires. So those are all ready to basically ship back now. And so the purpose of their visit was that, and also he hadn't driven the bus, well, obviously, since we shipped it out here, which was, I don't know, a little over a year ago. I think it was April, maybe last year, March, April, I don't know. Anyway, and he hadn't even driven the bus that much when he had it because, and a big reason why he sent it out, it just wasn't reliable. Didn't really have much power, was dying a lot, the brakes sucked, just not really a good driving experience. And so it's pretty much a completely different bus now in all good ways. So if you follow the channel, you know that we built a little, basically 1500 cc, 36 horse for this thing with a rare dual carburetor kit. The thing makes 80% more horsepower and 80 or 90% more torque now than it did stock. So runs great. It's been super reliable. We've driven this thing all over the place. We upgraded the brakes, etc. So you guys can see a lot more detail on this bus. So I don't want to, kind of belabor it now. But anyway, totally different bus. The point I was trying to make is totally different bus than when he had it. And so I wanted to make sure that he was comfortable driving the bus. And if he had any questions about it, that those got answered before we shipped the bus back. And so other than packaging up their stuff and getting it ready to ship, the other idea was for him to get some seat time on the bus. And he did. So took it out and drove it. And of course, it's right-hand drive, so it's not something that we're all, at least in left-hand drive countries, it's not all really used to. So but he kind of reacclimated pretty quick. He had driven it enough back there that he kind of, gets the right-hand drive thing and stuff like that. So he acclimated pretty quick, and we probably drove it a total of like maybe 5 miles or so, just kind of like right around the shop, on roads without much traffic or anything. So we could kind of get used to it without, pressure, so to speak, from traffic. But yeah, so kind of a funny story. When we were driving it, we were about a mile down the street from the shop, and the owner was driving, and I felt like the bus was kind of, I don't know, almost like surging or doing something weird and maybe losing power, and we were all like crapping ourselves. And luckily there was a parking lot real near, and I was like, pull in the parking lot. So he pulled it in the parking lot, and I said, you know what? I think it's out of gas. And so went back around the back of the bus. Of course, on barn doors, the gas tank, as you may know, if you know barn doors, gas tank is back here in the engine compartment. Popped open the engine compartment, took a peek in there, and I could see the fuel level was like, about that far above. So there was a lot of so these things, the way the reserve works on these is, which is probably the way all reserves work, is there's basically two tubes that are connected to the fuel tap. So the main one is about this long, and the other one is shorter. And so when the longer one, the gas level gets below that, that's when you flip it over to reserve, and then the shorter one that's sticking up, more shallow in the bottom of the gas tank is the one that takes over. So I looked in there, I could see the main one sticking like way up out of the gas. So we flipped it over to reserve, and turned it over for maybe 10 seconds. I don't know. And it fired right up. So, yeah, it was a bit of kind of a funny and nervous moment because, you know, we drove this bus quite a bit. I put 100 miles on it that one weekend when we had the shows, and I've driven it around just a lot. I've taken it on what I call my torture test. This bus has never let me down. And so for that brief moment today when we were driving it with the owner, you know, is like his final check before we send it back, that it died on us. We're like, oh my God, you have got to be kidding me. But it ran out of gas and flipped it on reserve, and we were on our merry way. So kind of a funny story because the three of us, his son, I think, is particularly sensitive, for lack of a better word, because he's the one who had to push this bus back in Hawaii when it crapped out on him, which I think happened multiple times. And so I think his poor son probably has PTSD over having to push this this bus. So when the thing started running out of gas and we didn't know what was happening at the moment, I think there was this, you know, moment of panic for all of us. But anyway, cars need gas to run. Basic fact of gasoline powered automobiles. So anyway, the plan is they're going to come out tomorrow morning, and he's going to get some more seat time on the bus. We'll probably take it on my orange loop, which is about 8 miles, including through scenic downtown Orange, the Circle, the Plaza, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, assuming that all goes well, which I have no reason to think it won't, then we'll probably be sending this thing to the airport terminal like tomorrow afternoon. So guys, today is probably, unless, you know, there's some logistic issues getting it to the airport or something, today is probably the last day this bus will be in our shop. So I did, this morning after I cleaned the bus up, I filmed a pretty thorough walk around. I think it's, I don't know, 18 minutes, maybe 19, 20 minutes long. So there's that I'll be posting within the next couple days. And then I also filmed a shorter, maybe 3-minute walk around with no voiceover, just pretty much walking around showing the details of the bus. So I will also post that one for people who don't have, you know, 20 minutes to sit and watch the walk around and me blabbing about this bus. There will also be a shorts version of that's a couple minutes long or so. Anyway, so that was a pretty big portion of my day there, and it's exciting, guys. We're very excited for the owner to take possession of this thing and start having fun in Hawaii and using it as he intended to when he bought it originally, and sadly wasn't able to. But Vintage Classic Specialist, I'd like to say that we stepped up to the plate here and created him something unique, and it should be very reliable. It's definitely fun to drive, and there you go. So been a great project, great family to work with on this one. So there you go. All right, guys, let's see what else happened. Not a whole lot else happened today because I spent a lot of time on that. I started assembling the front suspension for the Java Green Beetle. I talked to Washburn's Metal, and supposedly my chassis was going to be done today, although it's, you know, 6 o'clock and I still haven't seen it. So I don't know, guys, what's going on with those guys over there at the powder coating place. Because yeah, I have everything to pretty much build this car, build the chassis, put the body on the chassis. It's gonna go super fast, you know, once I have a chassis. And so yeah, I had some time today, so I decided to go ahead. So what I did today was basically prepare the torsion arms and put them on. Of course, they get new seals and stuff like that. So not a huge deal, but again, you know, just wanted to go ahead and do that pre-assembly before the pan came in, so that this can basically get bolted right on the pan, or at least whenever we're able or ready, then it can go right on. So did that. And what else? I actually did manage to get a little bit of time in here on Big Blue today, the 69 one family bay window. And a lot of ignition switch issues with this car, guys. I think the ignition switch when the car came in was pretty mutilated, so we had to replace pretty much all the guts in there of that. And the ignition switch that I got from the Volkswagen key lady, I can't remember her name, the one that she sent me, it physically fits in there and everything, but it's wrong in that this one is made for a car, I guess, that has an accessory position or something. I don't know. There's something weird with this because at least when you assemble it into this particular cylinder and stuff on this side, you know, with the electric portion and everything else, you can't get the key out because the key won't turn far enough counterclockwise. It's almost like this is made for a car that has like what do you call it? Like an accessory position or something. I don't know. The motion of this switch is totally wrong. Even though it looks right and it fits right in, it's definitely not made for this car, even though I told her that's what it was for. So I don't know what's up with that. So I bought one from our friends at West Coast Metric, and there you go. Key goes in, key goes out. That's on position. That's start. Boom. So yeah, bought that, and then finally I was able to put the whole thing back together because with these ignitions on this, you got to pretty much put all this stuff into here and then kind of assemble it onto the actual steering column and then kind of bolt it all together. It's kind of a hassle, honestly, but yeah, so that allowed me to get all that together and then go ahead and put on the turn signal stock, which I had previously gone and cleaned up and did a little repair on some of the wires in it and lubricated it so it works super smooth now. It's an original one. And then pull the wires through into the sort of inside of the dash and wired up everything. So the turn signals are all wired up now. The ignition switch is all wired up now. So I think with this car, the next thing to do on the dash here is probably to take the speedometer cluster and connect it to everything here, and then hook a battery up to the car and start testing stuff, you know, testing lights, testing turn signals, testing everything, because I want to do that in case there's any troubleshooting. I want to do that before the top of the dash is on and stuff like that, while I'll still have good access to everything in here. These cars, the wiring is really complicated compared to an earlier car, so I really want to test everything before I sort of button this whole area up here. So I may start doing that tomorrow. I'll go ahead and hook a battery up to this thing, put the cluster in, and start testing stuff, guys. Lights, wipers, etc. So we shall see. And what else? I think that's about it for today, guys. So a little bit light on the actual work done today because a lot of time spent with the father and son of this beauty here and test driving it. We went out to lunch. Our favorite spot when they come out is called Johnny Jr.'s. If you're local, try them out. They're over on Tustin, a little north of Collins. Really good burgers, guys. If you're in the area and want a really good burger, their Mexican food is good too, but we pretty much always end up eating their burgers over there. Anyway, so guys, that's it for today. Keep your eyes out for a very long, very detailed walk-around video of this one, probably within the next few days, and then also a shorter, non-narrated walk-around where I just kind of like zoom in on details and stuff as I go around the bus. So keep your eyes out for both of those. And that's it for today. So thank you for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.